Hello again. As photographers, when do we stop photographing? When is our body of work complete? Well, the answer to that is never. As creative people, as artists, we're always striving to reach that goal of perfection. We're always striving to better ourselves, and we're always going to take photos until the day we die because that's what we do. Now, as an artist myself, and I'm sure you can relate to this, no matter if you take the most perfect award-winning photo, the next step is to better yourself. Now in this video, I want you to see the steps that I take to plan and prepare as much as possible when I go out to photograph a certain scene or location when I know I've only got one chance to get a shot. Now a lot of it is luck with the weather, but then that also comes into the planning stages. And if you stick with it, we'll go through the process of exploring a location, trying to get the best possible composition, and then getting back home and editing the photo and try and get a keeper that we can then add to the portfolio. Now, just like you, I love nothing more than to just grab my camera, go out and see where the wind takes me. But if you know you're going on a certain trip or going to be in a certain location for a certain number of days, then it's always wise to check out what's in the area, what the weather's going to be like, and how you can maximize your time out in the field. And on this occasion, I find myself in the beautiful county of Lincolnshire in the east of England, where there are some beautiful windmills, and namely Sibsey Trader Windmill that's just outside Boston. Now I'm already planning in my head what the photo is going to look like, so I'm going to take minimal equipment, probably going to take my 16 to 35mm lens because at the moment it fits in with my style of work, but I'm also going to keep an open mind because I know, like any art form, whatever you imagine in your head isn't necessarily what turns out on the canvas. Now, before I even leave the house, I'm checking Google Maps, I'm checking social media, I'm Googling the windmill, I'm seeing if it's even worth photographing, I'm seeing if there's any photographs that I like, that I think, I could do a take on that. I'm also looking at the weather and what time the sunset is and sunrise using a multitude of apps like Google Maps, the Met Office Cloud Cover app, and Photopills to see where the position of the sun is going to be at any particular time. Now, I know there probably are better apps out there, so if you have any suggestions, I would love to know in the comments. Again, this is all to maximize the opportunity that I have at the location, at the scene, and it's kind of also to mentally prepare myself for what I'm going to expect when I get there. Oh, I tell you, it's been a long old drive, but I'm finally here. I've got about an hour and 20 minutes before sunset, which is good because it means I can have a recce round and scope out any potential compositions. The weather is not bad. I think there might be an interesting sky for sunset, and the wind is moderate, but there's nothing the drone can't handle. So let's go on a little bit of a walk. One of the advantages, of course, getting a drone up in the air is that you can scope out the location, and also the sky's the limit in terms of getting an angle and a composition. But what I slowly realised after walking this scene for about a good half an hour is that ultimately the approach to this windmill, and there is a footpath, an opportunity for a unique composition with a leading line you can see there with a footpath. You know, the first time I walk into the scene, I'm greeted with this composition, but lo and behold, I don't realise until about half an hour of just walking around and taking in the scene, which is also a good thing to do, just get yourself familiar with the scene. So you can see here I've actually set the camera up using this leading line of the footpath, with the line just being right into the middle of the scene, and now I'm just getting exposures for the background and the foreground, because ultimately I want everything to be in focus from front to back. So there I am focusing on the windmill and then focusing on the ground to get the foreground and this lovely cracked texture of the mud as a focal point in the foreground of the photo, and then the eye leads up onto the windmill, Sadly, the windmill isn't in the center of the composition. Maybe we could do what I call horizon bracketing and move it over, but we shall see. This isn't really a large dynamic range scene. Everything apart from the sky is kind of evenly lit in the dusk, in the dwindling light. So I've got my aperture at f8 and I've got my shutter speed down to 160, which I was a little bit concerned about because there is a bit of wind blowing through those crops. My ISO is at 100, so when I get my exposure for the foreground and the background, focus bracketing, I'm keeping everything consistent. And there I am, just checking the histogram that I've captured enough light information not to blow out any highlights and not to blow out any shadows. So what you could see there was me actually being calm and consistent, setting up on the tripod, making sure the composition is bang on, because in a way I kind of knew that would be the winning composition, the keeper. Now, as you can see here, I did explore the scene quite a lot and took quite a few photos from different angles. So it just shows you how kind of working the scene can lead you to hone in and really drill down to something that might actually be worthwhile and useful when you get your photos home. And this is why it is always good sometimes to revisit a location that you photographed, because as you'll find, you can make improvements by going back. You already know the scene, you're familiar with it, and you can learn from previous experience, maybe what you did wrong, maybe what you now need to focus on. It's all about self-improvement. So now I've got the photos in Lightroom. There's one photo that I'm quite happy with the composition, which is this one with the leading line, this mud path and the cracks going up to the center of the frame. We've got the windmill, but sadly I would have liked that to be on the center, right slap bang in the middle, but obviously there's nothing we can do about that. One of the other photos I did really like was this one, where we're kind of face on to the windmill, more or less. We can see the sails and it's instantly recognizable as a windmill. Ideally, it would be good to get this composition in camera, but that's not how the scene presented itself. But what we can do, because this is all about inspiring you and getting your creative juices flowing, is we can blend the two photos together to make one photo with a really strong composition. So what I'm going to do is take the foreground of this photo and then blend it in with the main subject, the windmill, of this photograph. So I've made sure that this is the exposure where the foreground is crystal clear, sharp and in focus. The only thing I'm going to do really to this is set the Adobe Landscape Color Profile, because it's one of my favorite color profiles. And then I am just going to use a radial gradient mask just to bring out this path. So I'm literally just going to drag a radial gradient there and ever so subtly just bring up the exposure just to emphasize this path. And that's pretty much it. The only other thing I'm going to do is just increase the sharpening. So if I just zoom in and go to sharpening, I'm just going to bring the sharpening up, but I don't want it to sharpen everything in the photo. I just want it to sharpen the edges. So if I get the masking slider, hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, slide it so we just sharpen off the edges, just like that. And then this one, I am literally just going to export it as a large JPEG. We can pop it there. And then this photo probably needs a little bit more work. So again, my favorite color profile, I'm going to set to Adobe Landscape and I'm going to hit auto and see what that gives us. Now it's not done a bad job, which to me that's acceptable. What I am going to do is crop it because we're not interested in the foreground whatsoever. So that can go. And then I'm going to remove some of these distractions. So with the remove tool, make sure it is on the remove tool. I am going to get rid of just spinning the center mouse wheel there. This tree can go straight away. Make sure we've got subtract selected and we'll remove the tree. This hedge, I'm going to see if we can get the generative AI to extend the hedge across the frame. So again, with the subtract tool, I'm going to hit remove and hopefully it will extend the hedge. So still with subtract, if I remove, no, okay, So variation 3 gives us the results we want. I'm also going to remove this outhouse. So again, subtract. And we've created the hedge going across the frame horizontally, which sometimes can create a barrier to your eyes to be able to look beyond that. But I think in this occasion, we should be able to get away with it. It's far enough away in the background that it's not going to be a barrier to our eye looking right into the distance and into the photo. Now, the only thing as well is we have a few lens spots, a bit of dust on the lens. So with the heel tool now, I am just going to remove these. There's one there. There's a very subtle one there. I'm not going to go too close to the sail. And there are a few up here, which I don't think we're going to use the sky up here. So we might be okay. And then there's just a hair on the lens. It happens to the best of us. And that should be okay. Now, if we look, the horizon's at a bit of a jaunty angle. We can do something about that in the cropping tool. If we go to the geometry and we go to the guides, I am just going to draw as vertical as possible line down the frame because I'm happy with all the vertical lines anyway. And then the horizontal line, I'm just going to drag that across the top of the hedge and it should straighten things up for us. So that's brilliant. Again, this photo, I am simply going to do a bit of sharpening. So if we come down to the sharpening, let's just zoom in. And again, just drag the sharpening up. We don't want to sharpen everything because we're also sharpening the noise in this photo. So if I bring the masking up, just so we get the edges, and that will be acceptable. And then again, I'm just going to export this as a large JPEG. It can go there. And in terms of Lightroom, that's pretty much done. So I know most of you will probably use Photoshop, but if you haven't got the luxury of Photoshop, then there is an alternative, which is Photopea. So if you go to photopea.com, this is a free online image editor that is a lot similar to Photoshop. So with Photopea loaded, I am literally going to drag my two edited photographs into it from File Explorer. And you can see we've got that one and that one. So with the foreground of this one, all I'm going to do is grab it, the whole photo that is, and pop it into this photo. Now you can see they're different sizes because obviously I've cropped the second photo. So if we bring that in to the same size as the background image, what I'm now going to do on the foreground image, let's just rename that as foreground so there is no confusion. I am going to add a raster mask. So if you come down to the bottom and add a raster mask, we are going to mask this so we don't see the background of this photo. So if you come over, and you might have the paint bucket tool in your toolbox here, if you click and hold, we want to select the gradient tool and we want our color swatches to be white and black. And if we just click and hold and drag a line up, I think if we press shift, it will give us a perfectly vertical line, or we can go at angles. Let's get perfectly vertical, and just on the horizon, we just want to nip it so that we just cut off at the appropriate point. Let's just get a bit there. Tell you what, let's make this a bit bigger. And then with the background, if we use the transform tool, let's just drag this up so that we have the hedgerow just there. And I think we're probably going to get away with that. It looks a little bit big. So let's reduce it down somewhat, just so it balances out, which I think is going to be about there. Now, because we've made the background photo smaller, we are going to have to get creative to fill this sky in. Now, if you have Photoshop, obviously you can use generative AI, or fill it in with generative AI. We don't have that in Photopea, but what we can do is, if you click on the background and go to duplicate layer, and then that background copy, if we drag it away, if we hold down shift and then adjust the width. Now if you look where we've got the width percentage, let's make it roughly 100%. It doesn't have to be bang on. to there, and then we can kind of drag it and place it just on the edge there, like that. I tell you what, let's not have a repeat of that little dimple bit that sticks up. And same again, if we duplicate the background again, so duplicate layer, and then if we move it and hold down shift while adjusting the transform box, just so we get this to 100% again in the width, doesn't have to be bang on. And then let's just move that over to about there, just to avoid any repeating patterns. Let's just make sure that is okay. That probably needs to go down a little bit. To be fair, now that doesn't look like a bad composition. If we now go to layer and flatten image, we can do some final adjustments to this. So if I go to image and auto tone, it should balance out the picture. And then again, you can always export this as a JPEG and retweak the colors in Lightroom. And then once you're happy with the final image, you would just go to File, Export As, and then you've got multiple file formats that you can export it as. So let's export it as a JPEG. And then obviously you can choose the quality of the JPEG. Let's put it as 100%, save. And then that is the final finished photograph. The only thing that I would maybe do if I was to go back and do this again was to just remove some of these pebbles and distractions in the mud. Would I put this in my portfolio? Yeah, definitely. But if you can get a feel for thinking out the box and experimenting with different compositions and blending two photos of the same scene together, then if I've taught you something or if you've been inspired by this video, then that's the main aim. See you next time.